Good morning, everyone. If you can see my face and hear my voice, that means I'm going live right now. I'm just waiting for a few people to come on before I start with some news and updates about vintage snowmobiling. Looks like we've got one person on. I think everyone will start coming on here any second. But I'll just chat here for a minute before I get into the news and updates. I hope that everyone has had a really nice summer. I know I sure have. It certainly flew by, and looking forward to fall and winter, all of the snowmobiling things that come along with that. Um, and I have to say, I've been if you're a regular viewer of the Vintage Snowmobile podcast, you know I've been doing reruns all through the summer months since April, and starting in October, I'll be doing new live podcasts every single Thursday night at 9 p.m. And to those of you who have sent me emails, especially on Facebook Messenger, to the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers Facebook page, I owe you a huge apology. Those messages have been piling up, and I have not been getting to them just because it's been a crazy summer. But now that we're into September, I plan to start getting into those, replying to those, and taking action on some of the things in those emails. And I've got a few other people I've been stalling. There's so much going on. I've been meaning to get to arrange interviews and things like that. And now that we're getting close to doing the podcast again, starting October, going live in October, I'll be doing that. So I see we've got some people on here. I wanted to get into the news and updates that the title of the video promises. So there are a couple of things I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to pop quick graphics real quick just so you see what's coming. This weekend, we've got the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. That induction ceremony is in Lancaster, New Hampshire, this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to talk at length about that in just a moment, but before I do, I've got another graphic to pop on the screen here, if I can find it. There is also an excellent vintage snowmobile show coming up October 9th. That's Saturday, October 9th in Bethlehem, New Hampshire, right there on Main Street. As you head out of town going east, just go out of town a couple of miles. You can't miss it. We'll be talking about both of these events in depth, as well as things that are coming up with the Vintage Snowmobile podcast. And if you're wondering, why is this dude not wearing the glasses I'm used to seeing him with? It's because I'm holding this cell phone, and the print, everything, this interface that I'm using, everything is real tiny print, and I can't see it wearing my glasses, so I took them off. I just use the glasses to drive and watch TV and like that. But so let's talk about the first event here. I'm getting the graphic back up. So this weekend, this Saturday afternoon, September 11th, we're going to have the induction ceremony for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. And if you follow this podcast at all, this induction ceremony and the Eastern Snowmobile Hall of Fame, Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame is no stranger to you. I try to put something every single week in the podcast about the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. This is the 5th annual ceremony they're doing, and this Hall of Fame and the induction ceremony and everything around the Hall of Fame has just grown exponentially year after year. And getting into year number 5, and it's really taking on, it has really taken on a life of its own. And we expect a really big showing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some racers of yesteryear who are going to be inducted, and looking forward to meeting them and hanging out with them. And at these events, at these induction ceremonies, it's not just the racers of yesteryear who were inducted that day. There are inductees, past, present, and future, who are there as well. It literally is a who's who of Eastern racing. So if you have any interest in Eastern racing or even vintage snowmobiling, it's a who's who of vintage snowmobiling as well. This is the epicenter in the East, anyway. Very much worth a look. It's right there on Main Street in Lancaster. You can't miss the sign for Crane Snowmobile Museum. The ceremony starts at 1, but I've got 1 p.m. on there, and I'll tell you why. You do want to get there a little bit early because the seating is with lawn chairs that you're bringing. You're bringing your own lawn chairs. So you want to get there at 1, stake out a spot for your lawn chairs. And then it's right there in the parking lot of Crane Snowmobile Museum. So you'll now have time to go into the Crane Snowmobile Museum and look around. There are over 100 sleds in there. It's a 50 by 100 foot building, and he's got every imaginable type of snowmobile in there to look at. So that'll give you some time to do that. And as I said, there are inductees, past, present, and future there. It's a chance for you to mix and mingle with them and get to meet them. talk with them, get your photo taken with them, hear some of the amazing stories that they're telling to each other of reliving memories and stories of races from back in the day. It's an exquisite experience. It really is a lot of fun. If you have any interest in snowmobiling at all, vintage snowmobiling, this is a place to be. It really is the event of the season. And after the ceremony, we go into the building and we do the unveiling. Where there's a corner of the museum that has the Hall of Fame, or I should say, the Wall of Fame for the Hall of Fame. They have all of the photos of all of the inductees, and they'll have the unveiling for the new inductees. Once they're finished with that, everyone moves over to the Lancaster Motel, which is just a short walk away for the after party. And the after party is a wonderful time as well. Just yet another chance for everyone to mix and mingle with inductees, past, present, and future. It really is a whole lot of fun. And I hope that you'll decide to join us. It is so much fun. If you have any interest in vintage snowmobiling, racing, anything like that, it really is the event of the season in the East. Now, I want to talk about one other event. I'm looking for the graphic on it here. Now, I've been working with my friend Phil Bell down in Bethlehem, New Hampshire. He's the owner of Beach Hill Automotive, and he's putting on a vintage snowmobile show Saturday, October the 9th. And that promises to be an excellent show as well. We've been notifying all the usual people who attend these shows in this part of the country, and a lot of them are going to be coming and bringing their sleds. This image is from a show that I did a few summers ago, and those sleds are Paul Belfay's sleds. Pretty good chance he'll be attending. I notified him of the event. I don't know whether or not he's decided to come or not, but he doesn't miss many shows, so a pretty good chance he'll be showing up at the show with these sleds, or maybe some others. He's got other sleds too. But yeah, it's right on Main Street in Bethlehem, New Hampshire. If you're getting off I-93, you want to go east into Bethlehem through the little town there and continue going east for another, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles or something. You can't miss it. It's going to be in a little meadow on the right, and you won't be able to miss it. The show itself starts at 10 a.m., but they do ask for the exhibitors and the vendors. It's a show and swap, by the way. If you want to have a vendor table, the vendor fee for swap items is $10. So if you want to have a vendor table, it's $10. And they do ask the vendors and the exhibitors to show up at 9, so you have a chance to show up. A chance to set up before everyone else begins showing up. So that promises to be an excellent show, and I hope that you'll decide. If you're in the East, I hope that you'll decide to join us for that show as well. That should be an awesome time. And I'll tell you, one of the things that really encourages me is that more and more shows are popping up every year. More and more vintage snowmobile shows are popping up every year, and they're incredibly well attended. That is very impressive, and that's encouraging for me as someone who really loves this vintage snowmobile hobby. It shows me that we are very much in a sweet spot, and it's definitely growing. It's not on a decline. That makes me really happy that there's still plenty of life in this vintage snowmobile hobby. And I also, one of the things that I talk about with people about the vintage snowmobile hobby is that the future of the hobby is in the younger people, because in 10 or 20 years, this hobby isn't going to look the same. A lot of the racers that were racing back in the day are going to be gone, or close to being gone. I'm 57. I was just a kid when all of this was happening, and I loved it. But 10 or 20 years, I'm going to be 77. I don't know what time I'll have left after that, but I mean, this hobby is going to change dramatically over the next 10 to 20 years. And the younger people who are doing racing and have interest in vintage snowmobiles, those are the ones who are going to be relying on to carry this hobby forward. And there is strong interest in that and enthusiasm. And I have high hopes that they are going to do something positive with it. But it's going to look very different at that time. So I wish them well, and I like to plant that seed with them when I speak to younger people, that they are the future of this hobby, and we're counting on them to hopefully do something positive with it, and hopefully they have enough interest and passion in the hobby that they would want to do something like that. So the other thing I was going to talk about, and I've talked about a little bit already, but moving forward here, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, in case you're just joining us, for the podcast, I've been running reruns all through the summer since April through October. I've been running reruns of the past season, and beginning the first Thursday in October, which I think is October 7th, I'm going to be doing a live podcast. And I'll be doing them live every Thursday night, all through the season, through the end of March. and I invite you to join us on that. It's going to be an awful lot of fun. I've got some new guests I'm lining up and new ideas, and I think you're going to be impressed with my new studio situation that I do out of my home. I've got a new lighting setup. In the past, there was a lot of shadows, and there was almost kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock profile thing going on off to my right, or off, I think, to your right as you're viewing it. So Alfred Hitchcock is no more. The nice, flat, universally well lit kind of situation there. I think you're going to be impressed with the lighting on that. And I'm also working on getting some advertisers for it too. So that'll help to monetize it, because this has to be sustainable over time. I do need to find some advertisers, because this takes an awful lot of time and effort to do. And I'm doing it out of pocket. I'm happy to do it. I do it because I love it and it's a passion. But it does take a lot of time and money, and I have a full time job and a girlfriend and a family and the whole thing, and it's a lot of balls to keep in the air. So I'm looking forward to monetizing this. So maybe I can at some point move into doing this full time, which would be fabulous. That leads to another thing I wanted to talk about. If you are interested in muscle cars, as most vintage snowmobile enthusiasts are, I also am doing a muscle car podcast every Wednesday night, doing that live every Wednesday night. If you're curious about that, search for WKS Muscle Car Podcast on Facebook or YouTube, and you'll be able to find it. Now, since I'm doing this live out of a vehicle, I didn't have a chance to put all the links in the description that I normally like to do to link to everything. Um, pardon me. So I'd love to have a link in there so you can find the Muscle Car Podcast, but it's not hard to find if you get on Facebook or YouTube and just do a search. You can probably find it with Muscle Car Podcast, but if you search for WKS Muscle Car Podcast or Muscle Car Show and Tell Podcast, it should come right up. There's 8 different places on Facebook and YouTube, and you should have something there to view. And I hope that you will join me every Wednesday night. If you like muscle cars, it's a place to be. And one last thing, and I have to circle back to talking about the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. This is really important. Let's say, for instance, you were not in the East, and it's really not an option for you to travel the distance to attend this induction ceremony in person. We're going to be airing it live wherever you're viewing this right now. If you come on where you're viewing this right now, if you come on at 1:30 p.m. and just keep refreshing the browser page, it should come up so that you can view the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony live and in real time on Facebook or YouTube. So if you're watching me on Facebook or YouTube right now, all you have to do, 1:30 p.m. this coming Saturday, the 11th, jump on wherever you're watching this now. Just keep refreshing the page, and it should show up. My intention is to go on at 1:30 sharp. I want to be as sharp as I can be on that, because I know a lot of people are going to be waiting for it, and I want to be able to deliver. So, was there anything else? If you guys, people are making comments. Let's check out the comments here. Oh, Joe Shortledge. Okay, he's asking what date. Now, I'm not sure what you were asking about, so I'm going to give you dates for everything. The date for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony is this September 11th, this Saturday, September 11th, 1:30 p.m. in Lancaster, New Hampshire. It's at Crane Snowmobile Museum. If you're going down Main Street, you can't miss the sign for Crane Snowmobile Museum. You want to get there early. Get there at least at 1 p.m. Bring lawn chairs. That'll give you time to set up your lawn chairs and go into the museum and walk around and mix and mingle with inductees past, present, and future. If you were asking about dates for the Vintage Snowmobile Show in Bethlehem, New Hampshire, that's going to be Saturday, October the 9th, 10 a.m., Bethlehem, New Hampshire, right on the main drag there in Bethlehem, New Hampshire. If you get off I-93 and go east into the little town of Bethlehem, go through that town, continue east another few miles, and you can't miss it on the right. There's kind of a big meadow that opens up, and you'll see where we're doing the Vintage Snowmobile Show. And if you're asking about what are the dates for the podcast going live again instead of reruns every week, that's going to be what is it? Saturday? No, not Saturday. Thursday, October the 7th. Every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Wherever you're watching this, we're going to be doing that podcast live every single Thursday night from here on out through the end of March. The only time I think I'll be doing reruns or anything is around Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Other than that, unless I'm deathly ill or someone else close to me is, I plan to do live podcasts every single week. Again, like I said, unless something comes up or it's a holiday, I'd be putting a rerun up. And what else have we got for comments here? I invite you to make comments if you're viewing this. I'd love to hear your thoughts about vintage snowmobiling, or if you're planning to attend any of these events, or what your thoughts are about anything. We've got someone saying another exciting induction. Absolutely, another exciting induction of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Very much looking forward to it. And as I mentioned about that Hall of Fame induction, they've been doing this is going to be the fifth one, and any new endeavor like that, it takes a little while to get the ball rolling, but the ball is officially rolling. If you were there for last season's induction or saw it on video, the ball is very much rolling. It's taken on a life of its own, and it's a really happening event. And I hope that you'll decide to join it. It should be even bigger this year, bigger, better, more exciting, and more people attending. It should be that much more of a thing this coming Saturday. I hope you'll decide to join us. Lancaster, New Hampshire, at Crane Snowmobile Museum, 1:30 p.m. But get there at 1 and bring lawn chairs. And getting there at 1 will allow you to stake out a spot for your lawn chairs, and then go in the museum and look at all of the snowmobiles in there. Seems like there was another thought I was going to say. What the heck was it? Oh, yeah, I think I mentioned we're going to be carrying that live. Wherever you're watching this now, we're going to be carrying the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony live. So wherever you're watching this now, jump on there at 1:30 p.m. this coming Saturday, and you can watch the ceremony live. So if you're not able to attend in person, there is a backup safety net there for you, so you can watch it live. And yeah, I think that's it. Anyone have comments, questions, anything, any thoughts or anything about the Hall of Fame or vintage snowmobile shows or the podcast or vintage snowmobiling in general? Please leave a comment for me here in the next minute or so, because I'm about to wrap it up. Oh, someone's leaving a comment. Let's see. Here we go. Greg Prue. Let me put it up on. Oh, good. Thank you for sharing this, Greg. Greg says they have Straw Days Snowmobile Swap Meet and Show in Somerset, Wisconsin, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Yes, thank you so much, Greg. We always like to hear about shows that are coming up, any kind of vintage snowmobile show or event, races. Please contact me with that kind of stuff, and I will do my best to share it on the channel, on the podcast, especially now that I'm going to be going live again with the podcast. I'll be checking my mail a lot better than I was before. And like I said earlier, I apologize to pardon me, to anyone who sent me emails over the summer on the Facebook page. I've horribly neglected you, and I apologize for that. Yeah, I apologize, but I'll be checking my emails here right off, and I've got some other people that I promised to contact. I'm way behind on that. And let's see what else we've got here. Oh yes, this is a great coverage, and big hi to Bruce Borovars, who's listening. He is very active. He's one of the board members of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. He's going to be there Saturday. He won the Kilkenny Cup in Lancaster, New Hampshire in 1975. A hell of a racer and a hell of a guy. And he is very active in the vintage. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about as well. The Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. They've made some changes in the way of their social media presence. So the old Facebook group still exists, but it's a USSA fan page now. We've created a new Facebook group, starting from scratch with it, and I'd love to have a link in here for you, but I don't. If you're not on the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame Facebook group, just get on Facebook and search for Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, and you'll find the group. And I invite you to join that group. And there are all sorts of images and stories on there from racing of yesteryear, mostly in the East, of course, because it is the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. But there's things from there's things in there about Bob Eastman and things like that, the Polaris Racing Team. So if you love vintage snowmobile racing, especially as it pertains to the East, do get on Facebook and search for Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame and find our new Facebook group. It's new and improved, and it's a happening thing. We're trying to grow it as quickly as we can and migrate a lot of the fans from the old group over to the new group. So if you fall into that category and you have not migrated yet, we invite you to migrate not south for the winter, but migrate to the new Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Migrate east instead of south, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in my own stupid way. But yeah, and you're very welcome, Greg. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Greg, for telling us about the show. I'm going to pop that show up one more time. In case someone's just joining us, there is a Straw Days Snowmobile Swap Meet and Show in Somerset, Wisconsin, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And if you're curious about that, just do a Google search, or you can maybe search for Greg on Facebook, and he can get you pointed in the right direction as far as details on that. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for making comments and everything. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your support, viewing the podcast, and with the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, and attending vintage snowmobile shows, and just being a part of this vibrant vintage snowmobile hobby. It's an amazing thing, and it's filled with amazing people. You are one of them, and I appreciate your enthusiasm, especially for showing up for anything that I'm doing on social media. I love it, and I'm a social media guy. I'm not a racer or mechanic or anything like that, but I am a social media kind of guy. I like to do video and social media. That's kind of my area. And I have wonderful memories of vintage snowmobiling from when I was a kid and all through the years. So that's kind of my way of participating in the sport. Like I said, I'm not a racer. I don't pretend to be. I don't pretend to be a mechanic, nor do I pretend to be even an expert. I do know quite a bit about vintage snowmobiles and snowmobiling, but no means am I an expert. There are people who are way more expert than me. But I like to think I make up for it in my enthusiasm, and of course my social media and video activities. Because whatever I'm into, I'd like to share it on social media for everyone to enjoy. And yeah, I thank you if you're doing that, if you're participating in that with the podcast or the Hall of Fame or snowmobile shows, any of that. All right. If you can believe it, I'm running out of things to say. That's a rare occasion, so get a good look. I'm going to pop a graphic up here and say goodbye for now, and hope to catch you on Saturday. Remember, we're doing the Hall of Fame induction ceremony Saturday, September 11th, 1:30 p.m., Lancaster, New Hampshire. Get there at 1 with your lawn chairs at Crane Snowmobile Museum. Set your lawn chairs up in plenty of time in advance of the ceremony, and then take a little time, go into the museum, walk around, check things out. I hope to see you there. If you can't make it in person, check it out online. We're going to be streaming it live wherever you're watching this now. Uh, pull that up again at 1:30 p.m. Saturday Eastern Time, and we'll be airing that ceremony live. And I do hope that you'll join us either in person or online. It's a wonderful event. This thing has taken on a life of its own. And if you love snowmobiling, snowmobile racing, especially as it pertains to the East, it is a who's who event. Anyone who's anyone shows up to this thing, and it just gets bigger every year and more fun. And yeah, I just can't say enough about it. I have a hell of a wonderful time there, and if you share the same interest in vintage snowmobiling that I do, you will as well. All right, I think I'm done for now. I'm never really done, but done for now. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Thanks for everything, for participating in all this online stuff that we're doing, and have yourself a great day. We'll catch you on the other side, hopefully at the museum Saturday afternoon.